What is up, guys? Silver Warrior here, and in this video I'd like to discuss the 5 biggest mistakes that new precious metal investors make. And I know you're probably thinking, oh man, he's going back to his old ways, making these videos where he just rambles on, doesn't really have very unique points or anything. And I assure you that that is not what this is going to be. I know I'm rambling right now, but point being, I really would just like the chance to redeem myself and kind of remake some of my old videos with much better quality and much better points. So without further ado, let's get into it. The first mistake I'd like to talk about is not reading the fine print and just not really understanding what exactly you're actually buying. So a perfect example here on eBay is this item listed as a 1 gram German silver bullion bar. Now, if you don't know what German silver is, it would be very easy to see this and say, okay, well, I see silver bullion, all right, it seems like a good investment. Now, if you think $4 for a gram of silver is a good investment, then, you're going to have some other issues down the road. But, even if it's an art bar or whatever, I'm sorry, but it looks very generic to me. I don't really think there's anything special about it whatsoever. But all of that aside, the biggest problem here is that calling it bullion is highly misleading, because bullion, at least to my understanding, refers to high purity silver or gold. So a bullion bar should be a high purity of silver. It should not be German silver, which is not bullion at all. German silver is an alloy of nickel, copper, and zinc. So there is actually 0 silver in this bar. So you would buy this thinking you're getting some silver, when in reality, you're not getting crap. Now, the second point I'd like to address, and this kind of will lead into my third point as well, but with the low prices, there's never really been a better time to address this. But that point being panic selling. So people might come into precious metals and let's say, they've had their silver, their gold for like a week, and then they notice that the prices have gone down, by like, let's say silver's going down $1 and gold's going down like 50, $100 since the time that they bought it. And they think, oh man, this must have been a bad time to buy. Precious metals are starting to go down. I'm just going to cut my losses and get out. And I guess this mindset comes from people who are used to the stock market, where there is the potential for your investment to go to basically nothing, but that is just not the case with silver and gold. There is a finite quantity of this, and it is a tangible investment. Therefore, its value is based on its limited quantity. It's not based on the value of a company. It's not based on the value of anything that could ever allow it to go to zero. It is an investment that you hold in your hand, and that there's a limited supply of on the earth. And it is a very low volatility investment usually as well. So point being, you never have to just cut your losses. Now, I do understand if you have a financial emergency come up and you have to sell some of your silver and gold, maybe you'd spend, income that you could afford to spend before, but now you can't afford to hold on to those metals anymore, and you might have to take a loss then. I understand that, and I'm not saying don't do that, obviously. But what I am saying is that if you have money in precious metals that you could afford to keep in the precious metals and they're starting to go down, keep it in precious metals. And because there's no reason to ever have to cut your losses when it comes to silver and gold. They will go back up. They will never reach a point where they can't recover. This is not cryptocurrencies. It's not stocks. This is a real, tangible investment that you hold in your hand. So how this leads into my third point is that a lot of people, I guess, also come into precious metals expecting a massive return on investment, which again is a very, very foolish mindset to have. Because precious metals, when you're investing in low-cost bullion especially, precious metals are not meant to be a get-rich-quick scheme. They're not meant to be an overnight success story. What they are meant to be, simply put, is a hedge against inflation. They are meant to be a long-term investment that protects your buying power from the everlasting devaluing of the US dollar. So, point being, it's just a way to save your money. I mean, bottom line, that's really what precious metals are. And obviously, you could say, well, if they're just going to stay the same in value, why not just put my money into a savings account? And the simple answer is that with inflation constantly going up, you're going to be losing money, even if you're earning that tiny fraction of interest on your savings account, because banks offer you essentially no interest whatsoever, even on a really good savings account. I know online banks are better, but inflation is always going to outpace interest rates on these savings accounts. You're going to be losing money year after year because the dollar is going to be losing value so quickly year after year. And the purpose of precious metals then, of course, is to allow you to maintain your buying power. You put your fiat currency into precious metals, and 10 years down the line, as inflation gets worse and the dollar loses value, their price will go up because of the fact that they are still worth the same amount that they were 10 years ago. And of course, there's times like this where you can see silver and gold are insanely low, especially silver. I think I saw an article that said it's like an 11-year low. Like silver hasn't been this low since 2009. So there are obviously instances where precious metals aren't even maintaining their own value. And I do understand that. And I do understand where you might see this and panic, but it is going to recover. And it is meant to be a long-term store of your wealth to protect you against inflation. Now, the fourth point I'm going to say is wasting money, okay? Now, I do understand some people coming into precious metals, or not even coming into, I should say some people who are a little bit more experienced, they might start to buy silver and gold that has higher premiums for the collector's value. They might buy a certain coin series, certain whatever, and either they have the hopes of maybe making some money, maybe they want to build a complete set, maybe they want to wait until, if it's like rare graded bullion or whatever. And I do understand that. I mean, I made some money off of some graded eagles before myself, so I know that there is potential there. But wasting money is a lot different than paying a premium on something worth paying a premium on. And what we have here is a 1-grain silver bullion bar. I've seen this ACB company all too many times. I used to have a lot of these myself, as sad as that is. And just to give you a perspective of how much money you're really wasting here, a troy ounce of silver is around $12.50. Now, we all know that you can't really find silver that low, so you might be able to find ounces of silver for 16, 17 bucks, right? And that's all fine and dandy, okay, whatever. But a grain is a 15th, approximately, a little bit less, I believe, than a 15th of a gram. And a gram is probably about a 30th of a troy ounce of silver. So this is less than 1%. In fact, it is probably around 0.22% of a troy ounce of silver. So basically 4 or 5 of these to give you literally 1/100th of an ounce of silver would cost the same as an ounce of silver. So you are paying 100 times more than you should be paying by buying these. And I know you're probably thinking, well, if I could sell them for, a profit, then what's it matter? But the simple fact is you really can't. You're not going to make any money on these because their value does not move up with precious metals at all. So if you're paying $3.53 and you try to sell it on eBay, you'll be lucky to sell it for that much yourself. And then you got to pay eBay fees. You have to pay everything else. So these never really go up in value. Certain things just don't go up, and they just have this massive premium on them constantly, but they're not going to make you any money. And they're certainly not going to help you protect your wealth against inflation because you're paying 100 times more than you should be. So things like this are just simply a money trap, and just avoid them. Now, the fifth and final point is having way too much trust in the item you're buying and in the seller who's providing it. Now, I thought I had found a perfect example at first to illustrate my point, but this actually just illustrates a different aspect of the point. So I saw this coming up when I was looking for stuff on eBay to, use as the background for this point. And I saw $10.39 for 1 troy ounce, 999 fine silver bullion bar, metal bar, Northwest Territorial Mint. And I thought, perfect, I found a fake silver bar. Because obviously, nobody can afford to sell ounces of silver for $2 below melt when, they never can, let alone when prices are this low. That's ridiculous. But also, Northwest Territorial Mint has been involved in quite a bit of controversy over the years. I believe in 2016, they filed for bankruptcy, and a bunch of people never got their orders and everything. There was a whole big mess, and people were already having to wait like insanely long times to get their orders in the first place. But what this led to was an influx of fake territorial mint silver bars flooding the market. And this, I figured, was no exception. I saw it said country, region of manufacture is China, so I'm like, okay, perfect. But then I looked at the description and found this little gem. Look at this. One, and then like the asterisk, star, whatever you want to call it, silver plated metal bar, Northwest. Isn't that nice? So, and then the title, remember, it says 1 troy ounce 999 fine silver bullion bar. So, which is it, right? And I guess, like I said, this illustrates a different aspect of my point, because you can't even trust the seller to actually tell you the proper thing that you're buying. And I know you're thinking, well, this just goes back to your first point. And you're right, it does, which is that you really do have to make sure you're understanding what it is you're buying. You have to read all the fine print. But this person's literally lying in their title. They say 1 troy ounce 999 fine silver bullion. And the bar also says troy ounce 999 fine silver. So it is still a fake silver bar. And this listing is absolutely devised to scam you. But furthermore, you can't even trust a coin itself, because even if you're buying, let's say, a nice silver panda and it's certified, people will genuinely buy these, high cert coins or high grade certified coins, crack the cases, and then put in fakes, and then they can sell that coin at full value and sell or keep the original silver panda or silver whatever or gold whatever that was in that case. So even if you're buying a certified coin, you want to look up the certification number beforehand to make sure that the photos exactly match what appears in there. And you just want to closely inspect everything. You want to not, ever assume that a good deal is really a good deal, because it could always be a scam. And I know it's a sad world to live in where you have to do that. But bottom line is, you as a buyer have the responsibility to ensure that what you are buying is legitimate. Scammers are always going to be scamming. You can't change that, but what you can change is whether or not you're a victim of their scams. And with that being said, that is all I have to say for this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. I really hope that if you're a new investor, this helps to sway you from making these kinds of mistakes, because they're going to be very costly to you in the long run and even in the short run. If you're, some of these mistakes, like selling at a loss, for example, within a week, that's going to hurt you badly in the short run too. So just don't do it. It's really that simple. And yeah, that's all I have to say. Peace.